All right, let's go ahead and get started. And last call to let us know where you're from. I love to hear where people are from. I don't have anybody in Europe today. We normally have some folks from all around the world, but we do have Canada and the US so far is what I'm seeing. And I did ask, what is everybody's favorite pandemic snack? For me, it's almost anything I can get my hands on, but lately Oreos, the vanilla Oreos. Love vanilla Oreos. I do have Philip from Ireland. So yes, we do have folks from different continents today. Thank you for joining us. Let's go ahead and get rolling. Thank you for joining me today to talk about email marketing list hygiene best practices. My name is Hank Hoffmeyer. I'm the digital marketing infotainer. I like to make marketing fun and successful. I'm also the senior manager of client solutions at Campaigner, and I'm here to help you today learn about the importance of and the benefits of list hygiene for your email marketing campaigns. All right. I want to make sure everybody's paying attention, and it seems like it's a lively crowd today from the chat. I'm getting some interaction. I want to start off with a poll, and I'm going to bring up the poll in a second. I'm going to ask this question, and I'm going to give you the answers and then let you choose. When it comes to email marketing, what do you think is the most important aspect of email marketing? Is it automation, segmentation, split testing, email delivery or deliverability, or email design? Let me go ahead and get that poll up and running. So I have the poll up. Go ahead and answer that. I bet you didn't think this was going to be interactive today, but I want to keep you on your toes and most importantly, keep you awake, especially if you don't have coffee in front of you today. All right, I see the numbers fluctuating here, and I'll share the poll in a moment. All right, looks pretty good. A lot of times there's my specific answer that I need, and sometimes people don't get that. And what's important, this allows me to tailor the presentation so that I can give you the most value, because right now deliverability is winning with 61% of the votes. Let me go ahead and end this poll and I can share the results. There are the results. Deliverability comes in number one, and that is the correct answer, because nothing else matters if your email does not get into the inbox where subscribers can engage with your email. That's why email deliverability is important. And if you haven't correlated yet, list hygiene correlates with deliverability, and we're going to talk about that today. Let me go ahead and close out this poll. All right. So we know that email deliverability is the most important aspect for email marketing. Now, I have another question for you. Do you know what list hygiene is? Use the chat this time and let me know what you feel list hygiene is. I like to hear the different descriptions and terms that people use when it comes to list hygiene. I know when it comes to email marketing, I've heard, hey, I need to send out an email campaign. I like that. It's very generic. I heard e-blast, I've heard mail shot, I've heard a lot of different terms when it comes to sending email campaigns, but what do you think, or do you know what list hygiene is? Carolyn says, list of engaged contacts. Samantha says, keeping only active contacts in your list. And then Sarah said, having a list where recipients are not actually opening and clicking through, not going to the spam box. And Tammy says, clean contact lists. Yes, you're all correct. And we can all identify what list hygiene is. And it's not scrubbing your keyboard with a sponge and some soap, which some people may think that actually. And getting some more responses, and everybody's pretty much correct. And what I like to do is define it as the act of cleaning or removing inactive email subscribers in order to improve email deliverability and campaign engagement. That's kind of like the Wikipedia type of different definition in my eyes. So the next thing is, why should we care about list hygiene? Now, if you want to go ahead and keep chatting, that's fine. I'm very social, I'm reading them, and that's great, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you. It's a good opportunity to reintroduce yourself to old users who are no longer engaged with you. It's 5 times cheaper to win back a subscriber that has become disengaged than it is to go out and market to and try to attract a new email subscriber. Low user engagement can decrease your KPIs, which is your metrics, right? Your open rates, your click rates, your return on investment, and your opens in general. What you want to do is make sure that you have accurate metrics. And we'll talk about that in detail coming up. You can lose on average about 25% of your mailing list each year through people not engaging with your emails. But the important thing is a lot of marketers don't remove them from their list. In other words, they become disengaged, but they stay on lists and they keep receiving emails that they will not engage with. But there are some that actually go bad, go stale, that can no longer receive emails. You need to make sure that you're also replenishing your email subscriber list. And we've had plenty of webinars in the past on that. And in the future, we'll also have more webinars on how to grow your list and how to create more engaging emails. When you're performing list hygiene, it's also a good chance to let your customers decide what they want to hear from you, like how often they want their emails and what they want from you. Maybe your emails are not resounding with them and you need to change your strategies a little bit, because email marketing is a popularity game. We're not here to talk about your subject lines, your pre-header, the content in your email, because the first thing that needs to happen is the emails that you send need to get into the inbox. People need to see them. And if it's not there, it doesn't matter how great your subject line is. It doesn't matter what kind of discount you're offering. You need to make sure your emails get to the inbox and that you're only sending emails to people that want your emails. Let's talk about something called reputation. And there's two aspects to your email marketing deliverability when it comes to something we call a reputation. There's the IP reputation. That's the IP addresses you send from. If you are a campaigner customer or any email service provider customer, you are giving an IP address to send from, or maybe using a shared IP system, and Campaigner has both. If you are a large volume sender, we can give you your own IP address. Now, there's benefits and there's negative aspects to having that, but sometimes it's worth it if you're a very large sender and you want to own your own IP reputation. Otherwise, there's a shared IP reputation where we send out from numerous IP addresses and other clients share that. Now, we only allow good senders to send from our platform, which is helpful. Then you have your domain reputation. So this is your domain. This is the domain that you use to send emails. Believe it or not, your domain has the heaviest weight when it comes to reputation. There's no official number, but maybe an IP address has 10 to 20% of your reputation, and your domain makes up the rest of the 90 or 80% of the reputation. This has changed over the years because in the past, the reputation of when you send an email was only considered through the IP address. But then what would happen is spammers would sign up for one email platform, then they would just start sending out their emails and the IP address would have a bad reputation. They would just say, I'll just go to another provider. These email providers, Gmail and all these private domains, they have gotten smarter and they said, well, you know what, we're going to put the reputation more on the domain. We're going to make the owners of the domain more responsible when they send emails. Because every time you send an email, it's being graded. Good things happen to an email and bad things happen to an email, or positive and negative signals, if you want to call them that, happen to an email when it's sent out. In the chat, warm up your fingers in the chat. Go ahead and let me know some positive things that happen to an email when you send it out. And I don't think I saw any type of pandemic snacks being shared. Either you're being very good with your diets where you don't want to share what kind of snacks you're using to get through the pandemic. But like I said, for me, it's vanilla Oreos. But go ahead in the chat, let me know some positive things that happen to an email when you send it. Now, we all know opens, right? Opens are probably the most positive thing that can happen to an email, or is it? What are some other positive things? Now, don't hold up this whole webinar because you don't want to chat with me today. I need at least one person to go in there and say something positive that happens to an email. And also get ready because we're going to talk about the negative things. So start thinking about that. Eileen says clicks. Yes, clicks are important. Opens, clicks, CTR, click-throughs and the links. Yes. Starring, marking as important in Gmail. And there's another term I like to use called TINs. This is not spam. The highest form of engagement is if somebody goes into their spam folder and says, this email is not spam. And yeah, an open is important, but if somebody goes into their spam folder and says, this is not spam, that's actually a good thing. And Julie's jumping ahead to the negative, flagging as not junk. I thought you said junk. Sorry, that would be a negative. So the positive of that is flagging is not junk, and it's called TINs. So impress your marketing friends by using that term. This is not spam. Go ahead and flaunt that around. Some negative things. Let's talk about that. What are some negative things that can happen? We know marking the spam button or hitting the spam button, right? What else? We have marking as spam. We have unsubscribe. What else? Pistachios, that is a great snack. Like filing a complaint, marking a spam, or a manual complaint, which is even worse. Never had anyone actually bring that one up, but somebody can contact us and say, hey, this sender, they keep sending us emails. We keep trying to unsubscribe, but it's not happening. That's a manual complaint, and we take those very seriously. Then there's bounces, email addresses that don't exist or temporarily have an issue. And Connie, you're one of the first people in a while has gotten this, ignoring your emails, not acting on it. To me, that is the worst thing that can happen to an email. I'd rather have somebody unsubscribe. And if they want to, I'd rather have them mark spam so they don't get my emails. But why are we here today? We're here to talk about list hygiene because you need to clean your list of people who are what? Mostly not opening your emails. Philip says deleting without opening, the same as ignoring. So yes, love this crowd today. You guys are so knowledgeable. Hopefully I'm going to be able to give you some more value. When we're talking about these positive and negative things that happen, why should we care? Now, I want to throw this little stat at you from Litmus. 43% of Gmail subscribers click the spam button rather than unsubscribe from emails. So make sure that you're providing value to your audience and you're sending emails to people that want your emails. You'll probably hear me say that numerous times throughout today's presentation. And we're all here today to talk about list hygiene because why? It was in the title of the webinar when you signed up. And if we started talking about pistachios or pandemic snacks throughout today's webinar, you might be a little bit upset or maybe get some great ideas on how to feel a little bit better about your stressful day. What you want to do is make sure that you're consistently cleaning your list and looking for those disengaged subscribers. There are a few symptoms that you can look at to see if you need to perform list hygiene. The first one is declining open rates. If you started out with like a 40% open rate and then over a period of 6 months, 12 months, you're down to like a 2 or 3, 5% open rate, there's something going on there. And it could be your content, it could be the frequency. But the worst thing is people are no longer engaging with your emails or it's not getting into the inbox. Maybe you're starting to get elevated bounces. And what you want to do there is look at your list acquisition processes. How are you getting subscribers and what's happening when they're coming on board? Or how often do people's emails go stale? And also look at elevated unsubscribes and complaints. Why are people unsubscribing and why are they complaining from my email? When we talk about what's involved when we're looking at list hygiene is bounced email addresses, errors from when people come on board and they fat fingered their email address, or maybe you collect them through a paper form and then when you transcribe them, it's transcribed incorrectly, which would cause a bounce, the first item. And the most important one is the non-openers, looking at people who are no longer opening your email. Now, this could be a mix of people that are not receiving your emails because your domain reputation is so low, or they're just ignoring them because they don't see value in your emails. And let's look at the first item, bounces. The first type of a bounce is called a hard bounce. And then the second one is called a soft bounce. Hank, what's the difference between a hard bounce and a soft bounce. Some of you here might know, but it's always important to talk about it in case somebody doesn't know, or maybe you'll learn something a little bit new. So hard bounce basically includes non-existent or incorrect domains where the email just doesn't exist. It'll never get to the recipient. Somebody spelled or entered the wrong domain. The email address is never going to get through to the inbox because that email address or that domain just does not exist. So you want to make sure that you are cleaning out those email addresses that are hard bouncing. Campaigner automatically does this for you. Once it hard bounce, we actually remove it, which is great. It helps you. But now when we talk about other things, it has a negative effect on your email efforts. If you're sending to a domain, whether it's Gmail, private domain, Yahoo, and you have elevated bounces on that domain, that will hurt your domain reputation. It brings it down. That's one of those negative things that happens. And it's part of the formula that brings your domain reputation down. And when we talk about soft bounces, these are different. These are temporary issues in the inbox. Maybe this is an inbox that is full and can no longer receive emails. And it could be a temporary server issue where there is just an outage and the email is not able to be delivered to the recipient. This may or may not have a negative effect on your email efforts. Directly, when a soft bounce happens, it does not ding your domain reputation, but there is a reason and somewhat of a way it can harm you. And if you're thinking about it, this is a tough one. I used to think about asking about this in chat and getting an answer, but what it comes down to is it's dead weight, because most platforms, including Campaigner, will not remove these soft bounces because they are temporary. And normally what will happen is people will clean out their inbox and be able to receive emails. And those temporary issues will become resolved, and you can send that client an email or that subscriber an email. But if you keep a lot of soft bounces on your list, and you can identify them through segmentation, what will happen is those are dead weight and you're sending emails to people that will never open. And that's part of the list hygiene process, is getting rid of those folks that are soft bouncing. So yes, it can hurt your deliverability if you keep them on your list, but when they actually soft bounce, that does not have a direct negative impact. Okay, I told you about soft bounces, told you about hard bounces. But how do you identify those? If you were to go into almost any platform, you can look at the codes that are being driven from these recipient servers. Now, for the most part, these are kind of manual. Every server sets up their own codes and they can say whatever they want to. You'll see code 500. For the most part, anything that starts with a 5 is a hard bounce. But I've seen some soft bounces that start with a 5, and I've seen some hard bounces that start with a 4. For the most part, bounce codes that start with a 4 are soft bounces. And then you'll see a lot of information here around spam related because it's a blocked URL because your domain reputation is so low. Or maybe it's the IP reputation. It could be that. There is one on there that says hop count exceeded, meaning that it could not find the recipient. Policy related, it's denied by policy. Maybe they have a blacklist, whatever email address that was. And then you see the one second from the bottom, temporary server error. So that is a soft bounce. You have all of these codes, and I've just seen, a 500 error. We call it 500, 500, just saying no one at this email address, silly. And it can be whatever is set up by the recipient server, but for the most part, they are kind of professional and kind of technical, like what you're seeing here. And 250, which you see on the top left, just means okay. When the recipient server receives an email and everything's fine, it'll be a 250 okay type of response. Otherwise, a 400 is a soft bounce, 500 is a hard bounce. I encourage you all to go into your sends and look at your bounces and just see what's going on. Maybe you can see that you're bouncing to a specific domain and try to get whitelisted with that domain. Or maybe you can find out if you're being blocked or if it's your domain, if it's the IP, and you can find out what's going on so that you can improve your deliverability. I've been talking to you for a while and we're starting to get a little technical. Don't forget, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the Q&A section. We're going to get to those, but I want to make sure that you do not forget to ask any questions that you have. More importantly, when you send emails, you want to measure what's going on, right? And this allows you to look at your declining open rates or your elevated bounces, unsubscribes, and spam complaints. And you might say, well, Hank, what are some good metrics? When I send an email, how do I know if I'm being successful? For the most part, if your open rate is somewhere around 20%, these are industry averages, you're probably doing okay. But the most important thing is to benchmark yourself and say, hey, this is where I am, this is where I want to be. I would say do not compare yourself to other marketers or even people in your industry. Start where you are and always look to improve. When it comes to click rates, around a 5% is usually average and pretty good if you're getting a click rate of 5%. Your unsubscribe rate should be 0.5%. And I always spell that out by saying 5 per thousand. And keep in mind with the unsubscribe rate, actually, that one's wrong. The bounce rate should be less than 1%. There's a typo there. So bounce rate less than 1%, spam complaint 0.1% or 1 per thousand. Now this means per ISP, folks. So like Gmail's 1 per thousand of Gmail, 1 per thousand of Yahoo, 1% of any private domains. So keep that in mind. It's a little technical, but that's what that is. Unsubscribe rate 5 per thousand. Bounce rate less than 1%, spam complaint rate 1 per thousand. Now, if you do want industry specific metrics, you can go to smartinsights.com, use their search feature and just search for email marketing averages and you'll find a list. And this is just a sample of some of the industries that I found on there. And maybe you fall into one of these like financial services or communications. Now what? Do we get out our snacks and start eating them? Do I eat my Oreos or is it pistachios? Are we done? No. We need to talk more about list hygiene. Okay, second poll, get ready. So if you're multitasking and you're watching another webinar while you're listening to my webinar, or maybe you're writing an email to your boss, it's time to pay attention. How often should you clean your list? And I'll have the poll in 1 second. Once a week, every month, every 6 months, once a year, or never. Let me go ahead and get that poll. Here we go. Are you ready? Here we go. There is the poll. Start clicking away for me. In your opinion, how often should you clean your list? Is it every week, every month, every 6 months, once a year, or never? Right now, the winning answer is every month with a 50% rate. Got 22 of 27 people. All right. Let's go ahead and end this poll. Let me share the results. And the results are every month with a 50% response rate. Are you right? Are you wrong? I guess we need to figure that out. All right, let's go back to the slide deck. How often should you clean your list? Well, there really is no correct answer. It depends on your frequency, depends on you. Most of you said once per month. I actually applaud you if you're going to do it once per month or you already do. I applaud you, pat yourself on the back. You get a gold star because the more frequently you do it, the better results you'll have with your email marketing campaigns. A good rule of thumb is if you send weekly, you should perform list hygiene every 6 months. If you send once a month, you should at least do it once a year. If you do it more than that, more power to you. You'll actually have a cleaner list, which is awesome. Remember, 6 months for every time you send weekly, and then once a year for every time you send monthly. Okay, I told you how often you need to do something, but how are we going to identify these inactive contacts? People that are basically zombies and they are no longer wanting your emails. How do we go ahead and identify them? Well, the best way to do that is to use segmentation. Almost every email platform has a feature called segmentation. We need to have a discussion around segmentation before we talk about using segmentation for your list hygiene. When it comes to segmenting or targeting your audience, the DMA have found that there's a certain percent increase in revenue from your email marketing campaigns if you simply target your audience better. If you use segmentation to send your emails, there's a certain percentage you should get an increase in revenue. What I want you to do is in the chat, take a guess as to what that increase is. And I hope to blow your mind today because hardly anyone ever gets close to this. Go ahead in the chat, what percent of increase in revenue should you obtain from using segmentation in your email campaigns? 10%. Matthew says 60. Any other guesses? 80% says Samantha. Let's try triple digits. Triple digits. I want to see who's going to get the closest. 150% from Samantha and Jessica. Are you ready to have your mind blown today? You're probably going to need that snack right about now because it's 760%. When I bring this slide up during a physical conference in front of people, I can see people's eyes widen when I say that. Think about it. If you send emails to people that want your emails when they want your emails, they are more apt to engage with your emails, open them, and stay engaged. Make sure you're using segmentation. Jessica said that's an insane number. It is. When I found this stat, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I can't use this in my presentation. Nobody's going to believe me. But again, think about it like, say you're an events person. You have events in different states every month. And you send out an email and they're pretty much local events. And you have a list of people throughout the country. If you say, hey, I'm going to be in Texas next week, to people that are in Florida, are they really going to be interested in flying out there for a short local event? Probably not. But if you segmented and just use the state data that you should have and send to people only in Texas, you'll have better engagement in your emails. And they know that it's going to be for them and they'll open that email. Let's talk about the pillars of segmentation. For me, there are 4 pillars of segmentation for your email marketing needs. First one is geographic. So that'd be country, city, and density. Where are people? Where are they in the world? Where are they in the country? Where are they in the state? I want to target them. This may be helpful for you, or it may not, but it is one of the 4 pillars. The next one is demographic. Their age, gender, income, education, and occupation. What do they do? Who are they? Tell me a little bit more about them. Because, certain age groups might buy certain products or use certain services. People that make a certain income might be able to afford your services or your products, or the reverse of that. Next up is psychographic. This is the one I love the most. So this is the lifestyles, values, concerns, personalities, attitudes, and what I call AIO, activities, interests, and opinions of your subscribers. This is where you can really hone in on your content when you're sending out emails to get them to convert, to get them to click. Psychographic information is very powerful. Now, with geographic information, you can ask people, where do they live? You can use that on a sign-up form. Same thing with demographic, but the psychographic information, that's a little bit harder. And you might say, Hank, well, that's great, but how do I get that information? The best way to get this is probably using surveys. I always say in most of my other webinars, when you have a sign-up form or you're asking for information, the less, the better. The only thing you need to start a relationship with your subscriber is an email address. But getting the first name actually helps because you can personalize the emails. Those are the 2 bits of information that you should be collecting, sometimes at the most. Because if I'm selling a pair of shoes online and I ask you for your first name, last name, email address, last year's taxes, your birthday, the name of your children, what color car you drive, and maybe your favorite pandemic snack, will you give that to me? Probably not, especially if it's only for a 10% off coupon. But if you ask for my first name and email address for a coupon, I will probably give that to you. And later, maybe if you provided me with a survey to say, hey, we want to learn more about what kind of shoes or sneakers you like so that we can send you more relevant emails, I'll probably take that survey. The last one is behavioral. What are people doing and not doing? And this is what's important for list hygiene. What you want to do is look at who's opening, who's clicking, who's visiting your website, what signals are they giving you? And not only the negatives, who's not opening, who's not clicking, but who's actually your VIP subscribers, treat them a little bit differently. I always see people take their disengaged subscribers and send them a huge discount to win them back, but they always ignore their VIPs. Keep them coming back. It's like cell phone companies. Oh, this deal is only for new customers. And I think AT&T is actually changing their tune on that. All their deals are for everyone now, which is really great because I've ran into that situation in the past, and you might have as well. Let's look at segmenting for list hygiene. First of all, look at your non-openers. We mentioned 180 days to 365-day non-openers. That's easy to do on almost any platform. Give me a list of subscribers that have not opened in X days or X months, whatever the time frame. Look at the soft bounces. Hey, I want to know who soft bounced more than 5 times or something like that, so I can identify people that might have long-term issues not getting my emails, and I want to cut that dead weight as well. And then there's something called spam traps. In other words, if you're not regularly sending to certain people on your list and that email address goes bad, what happens is, say it's AOL, an AOL email address, and you don't really send to it that often, and that person stopped, or few people stop using that email address. AOL will take that and say, hey, you know what, we're going to throw some hard bounce codes of 500, and then we're going to take this and we're going to recycle it into what we call a spam trap. In other words, if somebody sends to this, that's bad. And if you're not consistently sending and getting that bounce code, then you send to that spam trap, that really hurts you and could put you on a blacklist, making sure that your emails do not get into the inbox. So by identifying the non-openers, you're actually identifying spam traps along the way, because they do not identify as clickers or openers. They just ignore your emails, but they know you're sending to them. It's kind of tricky. That's kind of more 301 deliverability type of content right there. All right, what should we be doing? Okay, we identified our audience. We know who they are. What we should do is identify the openers, segment them, and add them to a separate list maybe, or just use the segment. Send them an "Are we breaking up?" email. I don't know about you, but if somebody sends an email and says, "Hank, we're breaking up," I'm going to say, why? Was it me? Did I do something? I better open this email and find out why this company wants to break up with me. But maybe I ignore that email. Maybe I need to send, or maybe somebody needs to send me a second chance email. Okay, we're breaking up, right? I'd ignored that. Next one is, here's the divorce papers, right? And then, oh my God, this is getting serious now. They're filing legal action. Let me open that one. And maybe I ignore that one. And the last one's going to be the last chance email. That's a, hey, signed, sealed, and deliver. We're done. You're giving people 3 chances to come back. And I'm gonna give you another example in a second. So this is kind of just setting the stage of what should you do. If you just identify your non-openers and remove them, that's great. I applaud you as a marketer, but most marketers don't want to do that. They love to do these win-back campaigns. You can do 1 email if you want to, but usually the average is about 3 emails to give them a chance to come back. So what happens if I don't care if somebody's breaking up with me? I'm going to ignore it, and I don't care. What you need to do is remove or delete those subscribers so that they do not hurt your email deliverability, which is the most important part of email marketing, if you remember our conversation from the beginning. So let's break this down. Message 1, we miss you, or we're breaking up, right? That is going to go ahead and let customers know why you're getting in touch with them. It's going to remind them why they signed up in the first place, if you have that information, and give them an opportunity maybe to change what they receive. Maybe it's frequency, or maybe a different type of list that you have, or they can just remove themselves altogether. And then you got message 2, which is the please come back. That could be a special coupon code or an update or something special to bring them back into the fold. And then the third message is this goodbye? Does this mean we are breaking up and no longer going to see each other? And maybe email's not their thing. What you can do is prompt them to follow you on social media, or join your Facebook group, or whatever it is you have. Maybe it's a Discord community. What you can do is encourage them to go over there, because maybe they're ignoring you, saying, you know what, email's not my thing, but I'm just too lazy to unsubscribe or mark it as spam. Offer them some other opportunities to stay engaged with you. Maybe they're a silent stalker, but you don't want them to hurt your email deliverability. 45% of customers who receive a win-back email end up reading subsequent messages. That right there tells you you need to be doing list hygiene, number one. And number two, you need to do these win back campaigns. So let's look at a strategy of using automation, which Campaigner has, to help you automate this process. So what you're going to do is you're going to have these inactive recipients, or people who haven't opened in 6 months or a year, and you're going to have them enter a segment. You're going to have this segment set up that says anyone who hasn't opened an email for me in a year and has been on my list for a year, we'll use that example. Let's go ahead and have them be in this segment. We're going to send that "we miss you" email. We're going to go ahead and we're going to wait for 7 days. And if somebody did not open that email, we're going to go ahead and send a follow-up email, that second email. Maybe we'll wait 7 more days, and then we'll send that final email, signed, sealed, delivered, it's over. And we're going to go ahead and remove the disengaged contacts from your list. Remove them. It's okay. You can always add them back later. Okay, so along the way, if somebody actually engages, opens or clicks, go ahead and send them, welcome back email. Oh, we're so glad you're here. Warm hugs. Here's a discount. We love you. Also follow us on social media if you want to do that. And then you can add them back to the normal mailing list, or just make sure they're removed from that segment. This is something you can set up in workflows, in automation, to make sure that this is kind of something that's happening in the background without you even actually needing to do a lot of things. I don't want you to every month, based on what you said, every month going in, creating a segment, sending to that segment, waiting 7 days, segmenting who didn't open the first one, and sending another email. That is just too much work, too much opportunity to take those pandemic snacks and keep eating them, followed up with a fizzy drink or something like that. So I don't want you to do that. Set up automation. It makes your life so much easier. Well, let's talk about what you should be sending. What you want to make sure you're doing is appeal to the heart and mind. Use emotion and logic to win back your subscribers. Give them the warm fuzzies, the feels, the sadness of you're not opening our emails. Do you not want to have a relationship with us? And then logic, like, you are not seeing the awesome things we're doing. You're not saving enough money by opening our emails. Let them know what they're missing out on. Make sure you use images and video, folks. This is very important because much of what humans consume is visual. That's why Instagram and TikTok is so popular, because it's visuals, pictures and video. Be imaginative, make sure to keep it exciting and have a little bit of fun. We're going to look at some examples that I like of some re-engagement emails. So have some fun with it. And if you can, use incentives, and that would be your coupon codes or anything that would tie people back to receiving your emails and get value from you as a sender. And as I promised, let's look at Chipotle first. They're having a little bit of fun. Do you want to stay in, or do you want to get out? It's really simple. Should I stay or should you go? They're just asking you to choose. Do you want the emails or do you not want the emails? Chipotle, I'll probably continue to eat them because I love their burrito bowls. Here's another one from Rue. We hate goodbyes. So that one's kind of, sad girl there looking at you in the email, and what they're doing is saying, no, I don't want to miss out. So you would say, keep them coming, to verify that you want the emails. So that's a good one. And I like this one from Hygiene. They're using not only a real dog, but a stuffed dog. Doesn't get much better than that when it comes to animals and pets. They're offering a coupon code for you to stay in the know. And they're telling you, we miss you. That's the heart of marketing. Next up is Urban Outfitters. They're having a little bit of fun making it look like it's a text conversation. It's pretty cool. And what did they do at the bottom? Social media. Nordstrom, kind of simple. Let us know. Do you want to receive our emails? Keep them coming. Send me fewer. No, unsubscribe me. And another one here from Animoto. It's been a while. Kind of looks like, postage on kind of like a letter in an email. Pretty cool there. Update your preferences in case you want to change the frequency. Pretty cool. Starbucks, come back. We miss you. They're offering an incentive. Some of these are having fun. Some of these are just simple. But let's tug at the heartstrings, right? Teespring, come back. Look at that cute puppy. Launch your next campaign. Pretty much they want you to get back into the fold. It's kind of simple, but most importantly, they're using a big image which brings your eyeballs right to that image, and it just makes you feel warm and fuzzy. And then they're going to talk to you with that little blurb they have there. Savory spice. This is actually an animated GIF where the tears coming down the cheek. I don't have it animated here. Same thing, keep me on the email list is what they're asking for. Let's dive into kind of more like case study, like JetBlue email here. I love the graphics here, and I just love the icons and the simplicity of this email. They are playing with the idea of breaking up. They're asking you to choose how and when you'd want to be contacted. They're empathetic to your inbox being full. And they're also showing that they understand, maybe you're getting a lot of emails and we'd love for you to make room for us. Have fun with it, folks. Come up with some really good ideas, and you can win back a lot more of your subscribers. Type form. Here's another email. They're telling the recipient that they notice their inactivity. They're asking them questions directly. There's one CTA to take the recipient to the website. And again, showing they understand that people get too many emails. Love these two examples. Use it as inspiration. Now, another thing is what you need to do is maybe connect to different tools to help you convert more or to get more out of your email marketing platforms. Kickbox is part of the J2 family, which owns Campaigner as well. What they can do is help you clean lists that may have bad email addresses on it, like bounced email addresses. And they also have real-time verification for your forms where we can tell somebody type their email address or their domain wrong. So Kickbox is a great tool to validate email addresses. Now, what you might want to do is say, hey, I have these lists of contacts who are disengaged. They're not opening my emails. And what I want to do is maybe find out if I can target them somewhere else. And you can use Facebook audiences for this. So you'll take your disengaged folks and you can send them to Facebook as a custom audience and start serving them ads. Hey, we noticed that you are not opening our emails. We wanted to see if you wanted more content from Facebook, or is there something different you want from our emails? You could do that, or just send them some kind of an ad to get them to convert if you want to. But you can also take your highly engaged folks and add them to what's called a lookalike audience. Hey, these are my most profitable customers. I want people that look and act like them, and I want to send them ads. So that's a positive aspect when it comes to using folks on your email list that are actually highly engaged. Now, you might say, well, how do I connect to Facebook audiences? You can use Zapier.com to go ahead and take this data from Campaigner and then serve it over to Zapier and then to Facebook so that you can start serving those ads. And you can connect a bunch of other different platforms to Campaigner, like CRMs, to bring people over and get the data to go back and forth. We could talk about that if you need to. Again, don't forget to put questions in the Q&A section. We're almost there, folks. SurveyTown, which has a direct integration into Campaigner. It is under integrations. You can send very powerful surveys to your subscribers and also have that data come back into Campaigner so that you can segment based off of that. So if you want to send a survey to get more of that information so you can segment better with that 760% increase in ROI, I highly encourage checking out SurveyTown or other survey tools that are out there. Now, we're going to get to the questions and answers shortly, but I talked a lot today, but I also gave you the opportunity to give me some answers. Let me know about your pandemic snacks, all of that. Hopefully the questions are coming in. I'm going to get to those in a second. But if you walk away from today's webinar, I want you to remember 3 things. That's all I ask of you. If somebody says, hey, you told me you were being on a webinar today, and how'd that go? What did you learn? I want you to remember these 3 things. Identify and segment your non-openers. And then run a win-back campaign. And then remove your subscribers that are not engaged, rinse and repeat. It doesn't get any simpler than that. What you want to do, identify your non-openers, run a win-back campaign and remove your disengaged subscribers, rinse and repeat every month for most people on this call, every 6 months or every year. That's all I ask of you. Remember to perform list hygiene if you want one takeaway. That's all you need to know. You are now fresh and clean. You will have better performing campaigns once you start ramping up your list hygiene practices. And then most importantly, remember, hygiene in general and list hygiene is a habit. You need to get in the habit of doing it often so that it becomes natural. Or if you are lazy, just use automation or workflows to automate that process. All right, let's go ahead and look at the Q&A section. Actually, I think I have one here in the chat from Philip. Is targeting your audience through Facebook compliant under GDPR can spam? Well, what happens with Facebook when you upload an audience, there's actually no identifier. They hash or they encrypt the data that's coming across, and then they match it to what they have on their site. Then you can serve them an ad. So yes, it should be GDPR compliant. Definitely can spam, but by signing up for Facebook, people are saying that they would receive ads, and you're using data that you have. It's just basically, they don't know who it is. They just know they matched information that was hashed, and they can go ahead and serve them ads. That is a great question, though. So I just want to applaud you for that one. Let's go to the Q&A. Let me go up to the top. Is there any way to tell someone mark a spam message as tins? This is not spam. Currently, no, there is no way to do that. The only thing you know is if somebody opened an email by loading the little tracking pixel, or if they clicked on a link, as long as you have tracking enabled for the links. There really is no way to know somebody went into the spam folder and pulled that out. Another thing that people do, and I would say don't abuse this, is if you feel like, especially with Gmail, you're getting a lower inbox rate. They say plain text sometimes helps, but if you do it all the time, the algorithms will catch you. But maybe every 6 months, you send a plain text message and just say something like, hey, from time to time, we like to check in with you to make sure you're receiving our emails. Sometimes Gmail, because you're going to segment out your Gmails, does not deliver our emails to the inbox. Can you please reply to this email to let us know you received it, or something like that? I've had companies say replying helps, right? Because that's a form of engagement. I've had customers that have subscriptions, and they'll say the only way for you to renew your subscription is to reply to this email. Then they'll get their email and they'll renew the subscription. Very small company, but that actually helped them increase their inbox deliverability, their open rate, and their engagement. But the plain text option is something that you can do every now and then to kind of get a little bit more of your emails to the inbox. So hopefully that tip helps. Jane, if you're a small business, what is one thing you should do that will make the biggest difference in your list? It's that life cycle. It is getting people to subscribe, having the sign up form, pop up, whatever it is on your website, SMS, capture it through SMS, and then automatically sending a welcome email. That's one of the most important things you need to do, is say, hey, welcome, here's what you can expect from us. You can unsubscribe at any time. Hey, here's a little gift for signing up. It reminds them that they signed up, because if they don't receive an email from you for like a month, they might forget they signed up, and then mark that message as spam, ignore, unsubscribe, all those things. Then you just want to have a regular cadence and do what you said. If it's once a week or once a month, send it that frequency, then do that list hygiene. In general, that's kind of like the ecosystem that you need to live in. All right, is Campaigner on Zapier? We are on there. You should find us. If you go to our knowledge base, we just published a knowledge base article on Zapier, and there's a link in there. If you don't get to that link, let me know and we'll solve it, or contact support. But we are on Zapier. Campaigner is on Zapier. You should be able to find us. If there's any more questions, please drop those in the Q&A. I'm getting through the last few here. Are you doing a seminar on how to get followers to add you to your mailing list? I'm guessing that means social media. That is a good topic. I don't have that planned. What I probably should do is think about doing that. We are getting ready to do a summer series. This is going to be I'm still finalizing it, 5 to 6 weeks. I'm going to have it every week, and it's going to be shorter, like 45 minutes, hands-on with the Campaigner features that matter. Then it's going to be a discussion. What I would love to do is either just do it through chat, or maybe even bring people up and have a panel discussion around that feature and give everybody the help they need. It could be workflows. Maybe the one session will be on workflows, how to effectively use workflows. I'll go through maybe 1 or 2 scenarios of how to set up a specific workflow, then open it up for Q&A. Keep your eyes peeled for the summer series. These are going to be limited, and that will only be available for those that register. You can't get the recording if you register, or you could be there live, but it will not be on our YouTube channel. This is going to be something like a VIP event. It's going to be Campaigner Summer Series to help you with using Campaigner effectively. If you like that idea, go ahead and let me know in the chat that you think that's a great idea. And I'm going in and I want to see if there's any more questions. If you have any more further questions, let me know. I'm actually doing well on time. Can you point us through? Yeah, it's not in Zoom yet. That's the only reason I can't drop a link, but we'll definitely look at getting that out, and I'll have this chat available and I can let you know specific for those that are interested. Know about that. We'll make sure we send you that email. Hopefully our emails are getting to the inbox. Hopefully they're getting to your inbox. I think they did because you signed up for today's webinar, and I appreciate everybody being here. I hope this was valuable to you. And just remember, list hygiene is a habit, and it's also a necessity. It's something that you need to do often as a marketer. I know sales and marketing always say it's about the numbers, and you might think somebody's going to open my email at some point. I'm going to keep sending emails, but you're actually doing more damage than you are helping your domain reputation. And keep in mind, no matter what provider you use, if you harm your domain reputation, it follows you wherever you go. You want to make sure you have a high credit score, high domain reputation. And the best way to do that is through list hygiene. And with that, I appreciate everyone being here. This will be on YouTube probably in a couple of days. We will send a follow-up email about that. But just in case you stalk us on Campaigner YouTube channel, you'll get the notification, especially if you subscribe and you click the bell, you'll get those notifications. They're coming. I'm getting a bunch of thanks and well done. I appreciate it. That's why I plan these and do these, is for you. It's not for me. Hopefully I was entertaining and provided valuable information. So keep your eyes peeled for the summer series. I'm excited about this. And we actually, a little bit more of an insight to later in the year is maybe a long form workshop that ties in a whole bunch of different things. We have about 135 slides that I can use for that. And that'll probably be 2 sessions, an hour and a half each. So if you can get permission from your boss or yourself, if you're your own boss, to attend those, that is another VIP event we're going to have. And I appreciate everyone being here today. Copy of the presentation. What I'll try to do is save this as a PDF so I can send it out with the recording. I just will remember to do that. Tammy, now the questions come in, right? Well, as soon as I'm wrapping up, how can we clean our contacts if we don't know the email address or domains that have globally unsubscribed? Well, if they globally unsubscribed, you will not be sending to them anyway, and therefore it won't hurt your reputation. Hope that helps. And I appreciate everybody being here. You have 6 minutes to go get some pandemic snacks, drink of your choice before you either hit lunch if you're on the East Coast, or maybe it's earlier in the morning, or for Ireland, so I know somebody from Ireland is here, it's later in the day. Hope you're wrapping up your day nicely. But I hope to see you in the summer series, and check out our YouTube channel for this recording and other helpful sessions. Have a great day, everybody.